right. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakwadash. Second, I want to give double honors to Apostles of G-Master Ulufwell. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. And the Lord's will you be edified. This is Shukar Corral from GMS, Virginia. Coming back at you again. Give me one moment. My bad. Apologies. All right. So, here it is. I have ChatGPT up. I asked ChatGPT a question somewhat resembling ancient Egyptian rule. How would Israelites be treated? And I would, matter of fact, I'm going to read this. I'm probably going to do a 3-part, so I'm not going to make this long because I asked it. This question is another one I screenshotted, and it's going to be another one. I'm going to say how would Israelites be treated. Just basically packaging it all up to this modern day of our people being in captivity, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, and how the fact that the people that's calling themselves Israelites or JEW, the JEWs, they don't fit with the curses. They don't fit with the poverty, the oppression. And the modern day Egyptians is actually the so-called white people, which are the biblical Edomites, starting with the least of the flock, Amalek. So I'm just going to read this. I'm pretty much going to call out the scriptures. Not trying to make this too long, because I'm going to try to bust out a 3-part real quick, short and sweet. But so if ancient Israelites were under ancient Egyptian rule today, how would it look? As you can see, let me see. Let's imagine this scenario: the ancient Israelites are living today, but under the rule of a revived or continuing ancient Egyptian civilization. One thing you got to realize, a lot of things that you see here in America resembles ancient Egypt. This is why you have things like DC, the obelisk, you got Memphis, Egypt, etc. There's a lot of parallels. You can look that up while watching, pause this video, whatever, and you can see the similarities of ancient Egypt and America. That's why the scripture says, the dead body shall lie in that great city called Egypt, roughly paraphrasing, because we're spiritually dead. So meaning Egypt retained its pharaonic religion, culture, and government and advanced into the modern age without being replaced by later empires and religions. So it says here what that might look like socially, politically, and culturally. Government and society, the pharaoh would still be considered a divine ruler, a living power, perhaps now ruling from a futuristic palace, temple, complex along the Nile. You got to understand, America was already prophesied. The extension of Rome was going to be prophesied to rule in these last days. Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the 7th, Revelation 17 and 18. So it says, Israelites will likely be a subject people within the Egyptian empire because we're subject to payments. Baruch, the 2nd chapter, if I'm not mistaken, or the 3rd. Similar to how they were in the biblical Exodus narrative, but now under modern systems of surveillance, bureaucracy, and control. So you see, when you read Deuteronomy 28:15 on down, you have different curses. And that the real Israelites today were underneath surveillance, underneath this modern system. A priestly bureaucracy, it said, would dominate education, science, and law, the American way, Revelation 17, with their Esau's philosophies, their wiles, Isaiah 47, linking technology with religion. Yeah, pseudoscience, pseudoscience, and I forgot the other one. Imagine temples doubling as universities or data centers. There you go, man, where the will of the gods is interpreted by AI like oracles. This is what you see today. So, how ancient Egypt had their, temples and huts, tuts, whatever. The modern day would be what? The colleges, their data centers, and etc. Hieroglyphic writing might have evolved into a modern script, the American way, philosophy, perhaps a digital form used in government and ritual. Yeah. So the so-called white man and his philosophies he uses in his writings, the English, etc., the language, is used, to keep people in snares and traps. So it says, everyday life, live in a semi-autonomous city like Habiru districts. I'm not going to look that up. I'm pretty sure it must be something like a ghetto under Egyptian governors. And is it not ironic how every state here in America, you have their own mayors and governors, Democratic and Republican. But Egyptian style architecture, pyramidal skyscrapers, and you have that today here in America. You have you have certain things that look like ancient Rome. You have certain things that look like ancient Egypt. Obelisk, there you go. DC, topped with solar panels, will dominate city skylines. Israelites might preserve their own tradition, Sabbath, Torah study, Hebrew language, but under tight regulation. This is what we're going through right now. But we understand a lot of, it says it with Egyptian religion. It says, but under tight regulation with Egyptian religion forming the state faith, because here in America, it's, and when you go to the ancient Egyptians, they had a god for every day. And when you go into this day, it's like this ancient way, society is liberalism. So it says the economy will likely revolve around state-controlled agriculture and energy. I'm going to skip that one. So it says Egyptian polytheism would still thrive. So adapted for the modern world. And this is what happens today. The worship of many gods. So worship of Ra could integrate with solar energy, Anubis with biotech and death care industries. So, here it is. Majority of things and what we indulge in goes back to an idol or a fake god or deity. Israelites will likely face religious tension. Their strict monotheism worship of, we know as Yahweh Shah will contrast sharply with Egyptian pantheon. And that's, this is why we are ridiculed and ostracized from the society, because, we're told to worship one power, but, here in America, you're enabled to worship all things and care for all things and love all things. Festivals might blend elements. Passover, let me see. Technology and power. Egyptian society's obsession with eternity and the afterlife, and that's what you see Esau doing today. Trying to preserve himself and live forever. So because Esau's trying to become like a godlike figure. So it might lead to a world where technology serves immortality, and that's what you're seeing. Advanced genetics, DNA, cryonics, and virtual tomb worlds for the elite. And see, this is what those elites are doing behind closed door, which nobody sees. So monumental, let me see. So Israelites, historically known for literacy and record keeping, might form a technocratic or scholarly class within the empire, essentially, but still subordinate. So yes, it, as you can see, the timelines of Jake prevailed. I want to say the Reconstruction era in the late 1800s. Having new things like Jim Crow forming to impact the fact that Jake was, becoming a ruling class or a class, going back to even Exodus, the first chapter, if I'm not mistaken, on how Esau had to, deal with Jake in a certain form of fashion. What the 1700s, the 1800s, and the early 1900s, the redlining, certain constitutions which Esau tried to reenact, the demonization of Jake to basically allowing them to be criminals so they can go back into hardcore slavery. So even to this day, Jake prevailed, but they're still underneath they're still in underneath Esau. Let me see what it says. So Egypt would be a superpower controlling the Levant, the Red Sea, and Sinai would be militarized borders. And that's, America is a superpower. The Israelite question could resemble modern discussions of autonomy or independence, similar to colonial or occupied territories today. Internationally, Egypt's religion-based imperialism might clash with other world powers, and that's what's going on now. That's why these other nations are, getting sick or tired. As you can see, NATO is backing away from, the beast shall hate the whore. And these other nations are really, growing tired of America and Amalek. Why? Because their form of dominancy and oppression is basically conflicting the whole world. But I'm going to go and wrap this thing up with this one. I'm going to come back again with another one. Those will use edified. Shalom.